All right, let's get back to this these reactions, man. Let me get back to the reactions. Where we at? There we go. So yeah, let's go ahead and check this out, man.
Done everything in pro wrestling. I mean, we even had Mantar. Where else do you go when a half?
Shout out to Simon from What Culture, man.
Their debut. Exactly. We here at What Culture, though, are basically sports entertainment detectives, so damn it, we've gone back in time and we've done the work. For I am Simon Miller, and please do hit that subscribe button. And
shout out to Simon Miller, man.
10 incredible wrestling firsts you didn't know about. Number 10, the first WWE match that wasn't booked by Vince McMahon. Now, obviously, Vince McMahon Sr. booked a lot of WWF matches, so we're talking about after his son took over, but you should put this in your notebook, because this is when we got something different. And we're not worrying about NXT or house shows either, as they fall under a very specific remit, and also, TV is what counts, even to this day. Just how the chairman of
what was the match?
Back in 1995, McMahon felt like his product needed a breath of fresh air, so he turned to Bill Watts and gave him the power. If you don't know, Watts was a well-known figure who had found tremendous success with Jim Ross in the Mid-South promotion, so why not see
good old JR, man,
magic to the World Wrestling Federation. So in September of that year, Vinnie Mac sat down with Bill and said he would have full autonomy to do what he wanted. Now that lasted about a week, because as soon as McMahon found out Bill wanted to have The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Diesel destroyed by a group of heels, he put the brakes on.
Oh, hell no.
Do this to our baby faces, pal. What is this old school nonsense? It's why Doc Hendricks magically appeared on TV to tell us the dead man was definitely going to be okay, but we digress. The point
Why would you even do that to Taker? Like, what? Why would you do that to... That doesn't make any sense.
There was a Raw around this time where we got Marty Jannetty versus Skip, which had nothing to do with Vince. This was all Watts. You can't really tell when you watch it, but man, did it have serious fallout. Watts was gone before
this is digging into like the deep in the journalistic bag to do some research like this.
Never let go of the reins again. Number 9, the first ladder match. So this gets argued about all the time, but there's no need. It's all there. Stampede Wrestling was among the front runners to introduce this to an American audience after Dan Crofat convinced promoter Stu Hart that having a greedy heel use this stipulation to try and steal some cash would be great. So originally it was pure storyline. This was way back in 1972 as Dan and Tor Kamata went to war, which is where Bret Hart got his inspiration from. He pitched this to McMahon as far back as 1992, and both the AWA and World of Sport had mucked around with it in the 80s. It, of course, went off the rails eventually as
this right here. Oh my God, what a banger. What a banger. Oh my God. The TLC. Oh my God, the TLC matches were just unreal, bro. Oh my God.
Not only is it a mystery, but when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you can dive off a ladder and onto a fallen opponent. It often works, but just
what a spot from Edge, man.
Far, and it's likely a reason he had to retire when he did. And this is why, thank goodness, he was able to come back for a round 2. Number 8, the first heel.
Yo, Sincere, what's good with you?
So this was well overplayed.
Hold on, I missed that. My bad. Go back.
I'm back for a round 2. Number 8, the first heel authority figure. So this was well overplayed before long. After the success of McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE felt they must.
I got a scary game and these people scream so bad they're little kids. Oh, Lord.
Must do this story over and over until the well had definitely been run dry. At least they realized eventually. In terms of major cable TV shows, though, it was Eric Bischoff in WCW who was channeling a version of what Ted DiBiase was doing so well, but Vince basically followed suit. That's right.
You know what I'm noticing? What scary game is it? I see you talking about it in the chat. What scary game is it? You know what I've noticed, though? I am an Attitude Era baby, right? I come from the class of, I started really getting into wrestling around the time I was like 7, 8 years old, around 97, 98. Watching WWF, that's all I really knew. I heard about WCW, but I was at the mercy of my people when they were, my cousins or whoever was watching wrestling. I was at the mercy of whatever they were watching. I had no authority when it comes to what was on the television. But I'm noticing this trend of WWE got a lot of ideas from other promotions, but because I guess WWE was, I don't know, maybe it was the right, I don't know if it was just the right situation that everything was like the perfect storm. They got some stuff from ECW, they got some stuff from WCW, and this whole authority figure thing, obviously Austin versus McMahon is probably, if not the greatest rivalry in wrestling history. I mean, to me, again, I'm biased towards WWF, but if it's not the greatest, is one of the greatest rivalries, and it's just seeming like it's always a little bit of, I'm gonna take some from over here, I'm gonna take some from over there, which I'm not mad at it, because look at the product that we have now. But that's just one thing that I have been noticing doing this, like looking back and digging in like the archives to seeing how certain things came to be and where people drew inspiration from. That's just interesting.
Almost as soon
that's
as
just real
the
interesting.
NWO became a thing, so McMahon did the same. If we go back to 1992, though, Vinny was toying with this as part of an agreement with Jerry Lawler to bring the King
Look at
to the WWF.
Look at King, bro.
In return, McMahon sent wrestlers to the Memphis promotion to try
Kenito
and screw
Pet?
Lawler over.
I never heard of that.
We had come full circle.
Yo, Ego, what's going on? You got posted up at work,
1985, Tom
lurking
Renesto
for
was
now.
the crooked
Appreciate
promoter
you.
trying to get the better of Jerry, although he had a very familiar excuse. He was just trying to do what was best
Best
for
for
the company.
business.
Lawler didn't fit into that bracket. What does that sound like? I'm sure you can go back even further to find more things like this, as wrestling has over-relied on it throughout the decades. It just happened to peak in the late 90s, and all things considered, we shouldn't do this for another 10 years at least. It is cooked.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Granted, this video is like 9 years old, or it came out 9 years ago. Not 9 years, excuse me, 9 months. Sorry. The craziest thing about it, though, is we're technically kind of headed into kind of not really another authority arc with the final boss, The Rock. I will say, if it is done too often, it does lose a lot of shine. But that Stephanie McMahon, Triple H authority storyline in like the middle 2010s, fam, that was some good ass television, boy, man. Yeselmania came out of that. Then there's always a plan B. Seth Rollins turning on Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, The Shield, the heist of the century, man. When it's done right, those authority storylines, fam, when you got the person versus the machine, or like somebody we can relate to, whether that's Stone Cold Steve Austin or Daniel Bryan, and then you have Stephanie and Triple H, or McMahon in the case of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those are some of the best storylines, because there's a clear good guy, bad guy being held down by the man, and then you can relate to the person being held down. So it's so fire, bro. It's such a good thing.
The Forbidden Door. Although we weren't calling it this back in 1992.
Oh, the Forbidden Door.
It's very much a modern day moniker. You will recognize the name of someone who did head in this direction, though, as it's none other than the late great Jerry Jarrett. Trying to tie down dates is hard, but it's definitely been a thing for a while, because you can even read about the international wrestling enterprise New Japan and All Japan when they too decided, oh hi, we could work together.
Yeah, New Japan's been on that for a minute.
Antonio and Loki was super.
Because if they've been doing it back then, obviously they have ties with AEW. I do wish maybe it'd be like a once a year, like an annual thing. I would love for WWE to open that Forbidden Door and we just put on dream matches. Maybe they figure out how to get the logistics, the business, all of that. And I know a lot of it is going to be who gets over. Who's the one that's going to go over the other one? Who's going to win that match? I don't know. Maybe you incentivize the loser, have them get a bonus incentive or something like that, because everybody's going to want to win. But I would have loved to have seen when, shout out to Big E, man. I hate his career got cut short, but I would have loved to have seen the New Day versus the Elite. I would love to see like Will Ospreay versus who else? I think Ricochet. I think they've already had a match back in the day before WWE. But if we could have like Kenny Omega versus I don't even know. I can't even think of any dream matches right now. But all these dream matches that people talk about, if we could just get a crossover between AEW and WWE just one time a year, I think that would be fire. Or even New Japan. But most people from New Japan are going to AEW anyway. But if they could just do that once a year, I think that would be a money grab out of this world, man. But shout out to New Japan for being open. I know WWE has opened the door. They've kind of peeked through it, because they've had some people from TNA come through the Royal Rumble, but that's about it. But nothing where it was like specifically the big players from other promotions are on WWE programming or vice versa.
Savvy to this, as he knew to present these new roster members as invaders who would come to take over. Ricky Choshu would also do this in 1982 with his Revolution Army, And yep, it resulted in great business. Back on this side of the pond, however,
Is that
Jerry
Macho
and
Man?
Angelo Poffo had rivaling Memphis territories in the ICW and CWA, who very much did not like each other, which is when Randy Savage flew in to take advantage. He turned up on the competition unannounced, which triggered some very real legal issues, until 1983 rolled around, and everybody realized to stay competitive, they should work together. This led to Savage doing it again, but with an agreement all around, and wouldn't you know it, by 1984, he and Jerry Lawler were doing massive numbers because everybody bought this as legit.
Bro,
And
look
you wanna know what this
at
proves?
look at the
Wrestling
king,
hasn't
bro.
changed at all. Number 6, the first table break. Now we can debate this one forever.
Oh man.
It sounds like a waste of time, so let's just try and figure it out. Kind of hilariously, we do have to once again go back to Memphis wrestling that really did shape the modern product, because 10 years before Sabu was making tables his gimmick in ECW,
Oh,
Randy
ECW,
Savage
bro.
and brother Lanny were feuding with the Rock and Roll Express. Trying to come across as right asshole, Savage hit an illegal pile driver
Oh,
through some
shoot.
wood. It was so shocking, people gasped. Compare that with today when we chant for more tables. I'm sure there will be
That's
other
crazy.
incidences from around the same time, but if you want to focus on one that truly set the industry off, I think it would be this one. Number 5, the first finisher theft. So this happens all the
Ooh,
time.
I love a good move thief, bro. I love a good move thief, man. Seeing The Rock do a pedigree, seeing The Rock do a stunner, seeing Stone Cold do a rock bottom, bro, that was always fire, bro. Like, always fire for some reason.
Time now. If you want to insult your opponent and add some spice to your match, hit somebody else's finisher. I mean, this has been the whole
Roman just did it with Cody at WrestleMania.
feud between Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie in AEW. The Rock and Steve Austin definitely ran that into the ground.
WrestleMania
because it was a spot they
17.
constantly returned to.
No, that was 19.
CM Punk and Hangman Adam
That was the
Page
rematch,
doing
the
this in
re-rematch.
2022, there's examples for days. Punk has actually likely done this better, especially when he tombstoned The Undertaker during their excellent WrestleMania match, although it's Japan where, knowingly or not, this inspiration was born. Tatsubi Fujinami, who had an amazing feud with Riki Choshu, nailed his rival with their own Scorpion Deathlock, as once again the fans reacted like this was a bank robbery. How dare
That's
you?
fire,
The whole point
bro.
was that Choshu was raging against the established New Japan order, and Fujinami in a great spot told him to flub off before he used his own move against him. So look at that, we're back again. Stories at the heart and center once more. Number 4, the first 5-star wrestling match.
Ooh, who
And
was
no,
this?
Look, you don't have to agree. Remember, all this stuff is subjective. You're allowed your own opinion. The irony is people get mad at Dave Meltzer for this, but he didn't even invent the thing.
That's hilarious, bro. Dave Meltzer has become so synonymous with just either bad wrestling takes or bad wrestling information or just bias. It's hilarious. Like, and then the fact that some of his stuff is like higher than 5 stars, so that kind of changes the scale. I don't know, man, but yeah.
That was
Dave Meltzer's reputation is hilarious.
because they saw what the movie industry
Oh, the
was
boy
doing,
Jim.
and they copied it.
Oh,
Given
corny.
that it was Uncle Dave who revolutionized wrestling journalism in the 80s, this is his forever now. So in that sense, the first
Bro,
5
that
stars
mullet.
came on the 21st of April 1983. The wrestling newsletter from then decided that Tiger Mask versus the Dynamite Kid was worthy and gave it full marks. And yes, this makes sense. If you go and watch it today, you can see them moving the business forward to what we know today. Was always going to happen. There's always some confusion though, because long after this, Meltzer thought on it and decided that a Ric Flair versus Butch Reed match from 1983 would also be given all of these stars. And this one is far harder to get if you are a new fan. It's very much of its time, but go and look for the selling and the crowd work. That really was second to none. They make you believe.
That figure
which is
4.
the point. Number 3, the first This Is Awesome chant.
Ooh,
But not the
okay.
last. For this chant will be with us until after we are dead. A bit morbid, but it's true. As ever, there was a time when this meant more because fans would use it to underline that what we were seeing was next level.
Yeah.
Which ties into life. It's a cool thing to shout, so soon it was just there for whatever, which is fine.
It's not really overused like that, though. Like, if we're going to be honest, it's really not overused like that. I don't know, maybe around the time he made this video, it was just, this is awesome, chance was happening left and right, but it's not as often. It's not used as often. Like, it has to be like a moment where it's like, okay, The Rock is in the ring with Roman Reigns for the first time as opponents. Remember when Cody gave up his spot and The Rock came out? I think there was a "This is awesome" chant. I would imagine that definitely is a "This is awesome" moment, but I don't think it's like overly
As long as
used
you're
though.
having fun. One that stood out was when CM Punk took on Daniel Bryan at the Over the Limit 2012 pay-per-view. And the reason we bring this up is it may have been these two that were responsible for the original. For if we go back to 2005 and Full Impact Pro where they went at it, you shall hear fans
Young
shouting
CM
such
Punk.
words. though the internet disputes this being number one, because you can then go back a year prior to 2004 and TNA's Victory Road show. There, Abyss and Raven kicked each other's ass, and when the masked man gets thrown through a table, you do hear "This is awesome." It's not very nice to Abyss at all. It continues though, because Lance Storm says he remembers it happening during his ECW days, which would have been the late 90s. Which brings us to the conclusion of... who the flub knows?
Yeah, I'm about to say, who knows?
The first AEW match. The first match promoted by Tony Khan on an All Elite Wrestling
Good old AEW, man. What happened to the show I used to love, bro? What is happening? Why is Tony such an idiot?
Show.
Why is he such an idiot?
Double or Nothing 2019. What a day that was. And who knew the madness that was round the corner? It's been great. Thing is, in terms of an AEW sanctioned match that came before all of that, it happened here in England. Yep. How weird is that? Because as the promotion tried to come together, there were obstacles to overcome. This is always the way. But when Hangman vs. Pac, which was scheduled for the pay-per-view, fell through due to visa issues, everybody agreed we would still do it, but at the WrestleGate show in Nottingham. I mean, this was really cool, but man, it's so strange. I think it was mostly done to protect both guys, as Pac was also the Dragon Gate Dream champion and couldn't lose, so he booted the ref in the balls and injured Page, so everybody had got something they wanted to see. Plus, it was released on AEW's YouTube channels, so it's alright. If we are being super serious though, yeah, this was the first All Elite Wrestling match. What an incredible way to start. Number one, the first wrestler to slam Andre the Giant. Because no, it wasn't Hogan. I know that's the WrestleMania 3 story, and as there was no internet, we got away with it. But still, it's not true.
That is true. Man, back in the day, you could technically get away with murder. Or you can make something up, because if you didn't have the internet or if you didn't have proof, it don't matter what you said. Maybe that's why Hogan has this reputation of lying a lot or whatever, because maybe it was like that back in the day. He could say whatever. There may not have been any video evidence, but nowadays everything is on the internet. But it is crazy how just, and then that was another reason why longer title reigns, you know, were more popular back in the day too, because there was no internet. So you could keep a person champion longer, and during the territory days where you would see that person when they came to your city. But it is crazy how the landscape of the internet just changed damn near. Well, I ain't even gonna say damn near. It did change everything.
Is not to take away from that match. It remains one of the most significant.
But you could get away with murder back in the day.
In the Silver Dome, ready to watch.
There was no proof.
But Andre got slammed all the time when he was younger and weighed a little bit less. I'm sure this happened way back in the 60s too, because why wouldn't it? And even Harley Race and Stan Hansen had done this when Andre was more the figure we remember today. So surprise, surprise, the
Hulk the Giant Killer
was done for the narrative. Fair play though. That's not a bad thing. That's the entire point of wrestling. Know of any other incredible wrestling first that nobody knows about? Make sure you let us know in the comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe.
Word, man. Hey, W Video, man. Shout out to Simon for What Culture, man. It's so dope that Simon has people like in the crowds with his like give it a thumbs up, or the golden up, or give it a like the ups and downs. Like that's so fire that he has people actually participating at wrestling shows with that. Maybe one day we'll get something like that. You know, the Trysun Tribe or something like that. We'll get some fan signs in the audience, man. But we got a long way to go before we get there. But that was dope, man. That was dope.